Welcome to Book Nibbles, Big Ideas, Small Bites. Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages has become one of the most influential books on relationships, and part of its enduring power lies in how simple yet profound the core message is. People give and receive love in different ways, and if you don't understand how your partner best experiences love, you can be pouring your heart out in a language they don't even register. Chapman, who has worked as a marriage counselor for decades, draws from thousands of conversations with couples who were deeply frustrated, even though both partners thought they were doing their best. One person would complain, "I just don't feel loved anymore," and the other would look bewildered and hurt, saying, "But I do so much for you every day, how can you not see it?" The disconnect was not usually about a lack of effort, but about a mismatch in how love was being communicated. Out of these sessions, Chapman began to see patterns, and those patterns crystallized into what he now famously calls the 5 love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. The beauty of this concept is that it immediately resonates. Imagine someone who feels loved primarily through words of affirmation, the kind of person who glows when their partner tells them, "I appreciate you so much," or "You mean the world to me." If that same person is with a partner who instead expresses love through acts of service, like cleaning the kitchen, paying bills on time, or fixing the leaky faucet, that mismatch can cause deep tension. The partner thinks, "I'm showing love all the time by doing things," while the words-needing spouse is quietly aching, thinking, "They never say they love me, they never notice me." Chapman explains that this is like speaking Chinese to someone who only understands Spanish. Both are beautiful languages, but unless you learn the one your partner understands, your message won't land. To flesh this out, Chapman gives countless examples of couples who were struggling. For instance, there was a woman who felt unloved because her husband never said kind words to her. She longed for compliments, encouragement, and reassurance. Meanwhile, the husband felt he was showing love by working hard, making sure the family was financially stable, and doing practical things. In his mind, he was a good husband. But she was emotionally starving. The turning point came when he realized that for her, words were food, and without them, she withered. Once he began speaking affirmations, something as simple as, "You look lovely today," or "Thank you for making dinner, it was delicious." Her whole demeanor changed, and their relationship softened and warmed. On the flip side, Chapman often saw husbands who complained that their wives didn't appreciate how much they worked around the house, or that they felt physically distant. Often those husbands had a primary love language of physical touch, but their wives thought that cooking meals, keeping the house orderly, or remembering birthdays was enough. Neither was wrong, but neither was truly meeting the other's need. The concept of a love tank is one of the book's most memorable metaphors. Just as a car needs fuel in its tank to run, a person needs their love tank filled to thrive emotionally. If someone's tank is empty, they will feel neglected, resentful, and emotionally detached, no matter how much fuel you think you've given them in your own preferred way. Chapman makes it clear that when both partners' tanks are full, the relationship flourishes, but when they're empty, arguments multiply, intimacy fades, and distance grows. Words of affirmation, the first language, is all about verbal appreciation. Chapman emphasizes that it's not just saying "I love you" repeatedly, but finding ways to highlight specific qualities and actions. Compliments can be direct, "That dress looks amazing on you," or indirect, telling others within earshot how proud you are of your partner. Encouraging words are equally important. If your partner is nervous about trying something new, your belief in them can be powerful. One husband Chapman worked with had a wife who dreamed of taking art classes but was afraid she wasn't talented. His simple, consistent encouragement, saying, "I love the way you express yourself, you should try it," gave her the confidence to pursue it. For someone whose love language is affirmation, criticism is particularly devastating. Harsh words feel like daggers. So the lesson here is to be generous with sincere praise, but careful with sharp tongues. Quality time, the second language, is about undivided attention. In a world full of distractions, phones buzzing, TVs blaring, endless work emails. Quality time means choosing to be fully present. Chapman notes that it's not just about being in the same room, but about real connection, eye contact, active listening, and shared experiences. He shares the story of a wife who kept saying, "You don't spend time with me," while her husband retorted, "But we watch TV together every night." She clarified, "We don't talk, you're just staring at the screen." For her, quality time meant long walks, deep conversations, and moments where she felt she was the center of his attention. To illustrate further, Chapman encourages couples to set aside intentional time, a weekly date night, a walk after dinner, or simply turning off devices and talking. For someone with this language, rushed, distracted interactions feel hollow, while even 30 minutes of true presence can feel rich. Receiving gifts, the third language, is often misunderstood. Some dismiss it as materialism, but Chapman stresses that it's not about extravagance, it's about the symbol of thoughtfulness. A gift, no matter how small, says, "I was thinking of you when you weren't around." For people who speak this language, the object itself is less important than the meaning behind it. A single flower picked on the way home, a seashell collected during a trip, or even a handwritten card can be treasures. One of Chapman's counseling stories describes a husband who never bought his wife gifts, dismissing them as wasteful since she has everything she needs. She, however, felt unloved, because for her, a gift was a tangible expression of being valued. Once he began giving small tokens, she felt cherished. And Chapman points out that missed birthdays or anniversaries can be catastrophic for someone whose primary language is gifts. They interpret it not just as forgetfulness but as a painful statement of neglect. Acts of service, the fourth language, is about doing things that ease your partner's burden. This might mean cooking a meal, vacuuming, repairing something broken, or simply running errands. To someone with this language, actions really do speak louder than words. Chapman recalls a wife who felt unloved because her husband never helped with household chores. He argued, "But I work hard all day to provide for us," not realizing that what would make her feel loved was him washing dishes after dinner. It wasn't about laziness on her part, it was about longing for partnership and support. The practical takeaway Chapman offers is to ask your partner what tasks would mean the most to them, because sometimes what you think is helpful isn't what they need. For example, a husband might mow the lawn weekly, thinking it's a grand gesture, but what his wife really craves is him cooking dinner once a week so she can rest. Physical touch, the fifth language, is perhaps the most straightforward but also the most easily reduced to stereotypes. While sexual intimacy is part of it, Chapman stresses that physical touch is much broader, holding hands, hugs, kisses, sitting close, or even a reassuring pat on the back. For people with this language, touch communicates safety, warmth, and connection in ways words cannot. Chapman shares the story of a husband who craved more intimacy, not only in the bedroom but through everyday affection. His wife, who didn't naturally gravitate toward touch, thought that providing food and stability was enough. To him, however, the lack of touch translated as rejection. Chapman highlights that couples can transform their dynamic by incorporating small, consistent touches throughout the day, like a kiss before leaving for work, an arm around the shoulder, or cuddling on the couch. A key lesson from Chapman's book is that your love language is often shaped by your upbringing and past experiences. For example, someone who grew up in a family where no one said, "I love you," but gifts were exchanged may develop gifts as their primary language. Another person raised in an affectionate household may naturally crave physical touch. But it's also true that your love language may emerge from a place of deprivation. If you never received words of affirmation as a child, you may long for them most intensely as an adult. Recognizing these patterns helps not only in marriages but in relationships with children, friends, and co-workers. One of the practical tricks Chapman recommends is the love language quiz, which helps individuals identify their primary and secondary languages. Sometimes people assume they know theirs, but the quiz can reveal surprising truths. A husband may think physical touch is his dominant language because he enjoys sex, but after reflection he may realize it's really acts of service that fill his tank. A wife may believe she values quality time, but deep down she's most touched by affirming words. The quiz and self-reflection give clarity, and once each partner knows the other's primary language, they can deliberately speak it. The challenge, of course, is that it often doesn't come naturally. If your love language is gifts, it might feel awkward to constantly verbalize affirmations. If you crave quality time, it might not occur to you that helping with chores could be the most powerful way to express love. Chapman encourages people to stretch themselves, because love, at its core, is about choosing to meet your partner's needs, not just indulging in what feels natural. He emphasizes that love is a choice, not merely a feeling. Feelings may fade, but love deepens when we act intentionally. Chapman also addresses the in-love experience, that euphoric phase at the beginning of a relationship when everything feels effortless. He argues that this is a temporary emotional high that typically lasts about 2 years. During this time, people instinctively express affection in many ways, and everything feels magical. But when that stage fades, many couples panic, thinking love is gone. Chapman insists that this is the critical moment where real love begins. The choice to intentionally learn and speak your partner's love language sustains the relationship beyond infatuation. To bring it all together, Chapman provides countless practical tips. For words of affirmation, he suggests making a habit of daily encouragement, writing notes, or sending thoughtful texts. For quality time, he advises scheduling intentional togetherness rituals, like a morning coffee chat or a weekly walk. For gifts, he suggests keeping a gift idea list, where you jot down things your partner mentions casually, so you can surprise them later. For acts of service, he recommends asking your partner directly, "What would be most helpful to you today?" and doing it without being asked. For physical touch, he suggests building small rituals of affection, like hugging every morning before leaving the house. The ripple effect of learning love languages can be profound. Chapman shares stories of marriages on the brink of divorce that turned around once each spouse began intentionally filling the other's love tank. One wife, who had been bitter for years because she felt ignored, began glowing when her husband consistently carved out quality time. One husband, who had withdrawn emotionally, re-engaged with his family once his wife started affirming him instead of criticizing. These stories underscore that people rarely stop loving each other, they simply grow weary from giving and not being understood. What makes the 5 love languages timeless is not only its relevance to romantic partnerships but also its broader application. Parents can apply it to their children. One child may crave cuddles, another may light up when praised, another may cherish small gifts like stickers or trinkets. In friendships, too, being aware that someone feels valued by your time or encouragement can strengthen bonds. Even in workplaces, Chapman notes that a version of love languages applies, though often framed as appreciation languages. Some employees thrive when recognized verbally, others when given meaningful projects, and others when offered small tokens of appreciation. Ultimately, Chapman's book is both practical and hopeful. It reassures people that love doesn't have to fade after the honeymoon stage, nor does it depend on finding a perfect partner who magically gets you. Instead, love is a lifelong process of learning, choosing, and giving in ways that make the other person feel cherished. The simplicity of 5 categories makes it easy to grasp, yet the depth of application makes it transformative. Chapman's conversational style, filled with anecdotes and clear examples, ensures that readers can see themselves in his stories and walk away with tangible strategies. The biggest highlight is that love is not about how much you give in your own language, but how effectively you translate it into your partner's. A husband who spends thousands on gifts when his wife longs for quality time will leave her cold. A wife who cooks and cleans tirelessly when her husband yearns for words of appreciation will feel unrecognized. But when both partners make the effort to speak each other's language, the relationship becomes mutually fulfilling. Love tanks fill, conflicts diminish, and intimacy grows naturally. In the end, Chapman's vision is simple but profound. Love is a choice, love is a language, and love is learned. Couples who commit to learning and practicing these 5 languages build not only stronger marriages but also deeper human connections. The 5 love languages become not just tools for relationships but guiding principles for a life filled with intentional connection, empathy, and compassion. And that's it, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.